Tuttle here for Ferguson Roof Systems. For 43 years, Ferguson Roof Systems has been protecting Oklahoma's homes and businesses with quality roofing services. Their goal was to be the most honest and dependable roofing company in the state, all while providing free services such as lifetime labor warranty and annual inspections. Well, mission accomplished with thousands of client testimonials, an A+ Better Business Bureau rating, and a 5-star rating on Google. Look, the weather gives you enough to worry about, so why worry about who to trust with your roof? Call Ferguson Roof Systems today or find out more at fergusonroofsystems.com.
Hey everyone, Meteorologist Tuttle back with you again. It is about 10 minutes till noon. So we are in the house to talk about a wrap up here of the ice storm to see how much longer it's going to last for some of you, and if it's already finished, where others you can get out the door and get on with your afternoon activities. We'll let you know if it's safe to go, and we'll also look at how much ice fell across the state. So thanks for joining me. We're going to give you the full wrap up here in just a couple of minutes. Everybody pile in here for our lunchtime live on this icy Monday morning. Put in the comment section once again as usual where you can join. A couple of ways, options to get notified. I'm going to check with Facebook on this, by the way, because the broadcast Facebook broadcast channel that they gave me, it's got 5,000 people in it, and I'm wondering if it's full. I wonder if it can't accept any more, which is really lame. I don't know why they would do that, and that might be the reason. Because a lot of when you click on it, it says not available at this time, or gives you some weird error. So try again. If you can get in, great. If not, that's probably the issue. I'm going to email my contact on the inside today and figure out if that's a limitation. And see if that's the problem with that. But I see you, Daryl, with a 1/2 inch in Noble. Woo! Yeah, you guys definitely got some serious ice accumulations. And yes, that's certainly ice storm warning criteria as issued by the National Weather Service. But there was no ice storm warnings issued that I'm aware of in central Oklahoma. It's all for eastern Oklahoma to Arkansas and Missouri. We'll talk about that here in a second. Out there currently, obviously, we've got a lot of clouds still around. Some of you are still getting some moisture falling from the sky, either in the form of some drizzle, or maybe even some fog, or maybe just some good old-fashioned raindrops. So we'll look at the radar here, and we'll kind of update you there, and also bring you up to date on the advisories. But thanks for joining me here for our Lunchtime Live on Facebook, on YouTube, Rumble, etc. Okay, so let's take a look here at, let's see the latest. Let me move this over to here. There we go. Okay, so do the watches and advisories first. So we're out here, we got the little light blue. This is all an ice storm warning that's still been in effect. Up here in Missouri, ice storm warning in effect. This little darker color here is a winter storm warning. Out here is a freezing fog advisory along Elk City, a dense fog advisory, the Panhandle, and the green is a winter weather advisory. So basically, all these advisories tell you there's various forms of precipitation in the form of, obviously, a winter variety. Now, what you're also going to see on the screen is all these little markers. So these little, looks like little umbrellas. So we're going to take a little tour here and see what each one of these says as far as our weather reports. And I'm going to turn the temperatures off just so we can get this. Otherwise, my little cursor will try to read the METAR numbers, and I don't want that. I just want these little numbers here. And I will probably have to turn off this as well. So I'm going to clean this map up. There we go. So now we're just going to have just the reports coming in and where they're located. So this is impressive. So Burns Flat had 3/4 of an inch of ice. They weren't even anywhere near that type of output in the model data. Let's see, a freezing report from Hobart, 1500s. Down here in Frederick, 1200s. Lawton, you guys had 1/4 of an inch of ice. Wichita Falls, 1/10 of an ice. Up here near Fletcher, 2/10 of an ice. As we get closer on into the Oklahoma City metro area, we'll start with Guthrie. You guys had just about 2/10 of an inch of ice. The west side of town, at Oklahoma City, we got 0.21 at Wiley Post, almost 1/4 of an inch. Here also in Mustang, 1/4 of an inch of ice. Again, 3/10 of an inch of ice for Oklahoma Mesonet, or Oklahoma Station, Oklahoma City. Again, this is ice storm warning criteria. It's over 1/4 of an inch. So I'm not going to get into that politics side. I'm just to let you know this is an ice storm, and that's what happens in an ice storm. 2/10 here in Norman, down here between there and Purcell. In Noble, this says 2/10, but I saw you, Daryl, and I did see your picture earlier. Someone else also posted a picture of of Noble. It was about a half inch of ice in that area. It was pretty thick. Let's see, Cleveland. Let's see, Stella. You guys about 1600ths out here toward the Hera area on the east side near Choctaw. You had about 2/10 of an inch of ice. So pretty good amounts here in Oklahoma City. You have the Turnpike. Chandler saw about 1600ths. You guys in Stillwater picked up at least about a quarter of an inch of ice. Let's see, Ponca City, almost 2/10 of an inch. Let's see, let's zip down south and then I'll go east. Let's see, we got Elmore City. Guys had a quarter of an inch of ice. What about Ada? What'd you guys end up with? 0.18, so just about 2/10. McAllister, 1500ths. What about southeast Oklahoma? Way down here, McFlora County. And let's see, we've got McCurtain County. What are you? 1/10 of an inch of ice there. West of Idabel, 0.2 inches of ice east of there. Up in the north from there, another 2/10. We'll go up here to Poto area, LaFleur County. There's a quarter. Let's see, Chakotah, up around a 1/10. Up around Muskogee, looks like 0.09, a 1/10 bear in that area. And then Tulsa County, let's take a look at this. You guys up in Tulsa got hit pretty good with some ice. South side here in Glenpool, 0.16, 0.13. What is that, 0.2 in Sapulpa. Bixby picked up about 0.2. A little further into Tulsa, quarter of an inch on the Jinx area. Looks like 1600s also on the west side of Jinx. Broken Arrow, 3/10 of an inch from a National Weather Service employee. Another quarter of an inch there from National Weather Service employee. Just about 2/10. From there to downtown, 2/10. Almost 3/10 there in downtown Tulsa. Up around Collinsville, about 2/10. Claremore out here, and you guys in Tiawa, looks like about 2/10. Up north to Bartlesville, 0.14 and 0.2, so about 2/10 there. And out here in northeastern Oklahoma, 0.08. So that takes care of the roundup on ice accumulations that have been reported so far. Doesn't mean that's all of them. And it certainly doesn't mean there's been less or more in other areas. It's just what has come in. So you can see it's widespread, 1/10 to a quarter of an inch as forecasted, with a few areas a little higher than that, which were going to be difficult to track those specific areas, because the models aren't that good, but they do tell you they will be there. So we get a few of those reports. Up here in Kansas, you guys watching, our Kansas City, there's a 1/10 up there. West side looks like just a dusting a light coating from drizzle. Let's see, same thing up north of Wichita, just some light coatings. El Dorado looks like, again, same kind of deal. So just a bunch of freezing drizzle type situation up there. So let's go to southeastern Kansas, up around Coffeyville. Guys all around about a 1/10 of an inch in that area. Yep, a 1/10 and a 1/10. So some light freezing rain there in southwestern or southeastern Kansas. And in Missouri, their event is still ongoing right now. They've got 3/10 of an inch so far in and around the Branson area in Springfield. Let's see, there's another quarter of an inch there. Up here in Arkansas, about 2/10 there. On the northern side of the state, about another 1/10 here on the northwest side of the state. And then around Fort Smith, what'd you guys end up with? Another 1/10, there's 2/10 and another quarter of an inch. So you can see how widely varied they are, even in the same city. Of course, that can be from the measurer, but also just from the object that they picked, and or just the fact that the track of the rain just took different tracks. So anyway, so that kind of gives you a round-robin tour of what's been happening to our north. And down south, again, I think they got off scot-free in Dallas-Fort Worth. At one point, we were watching it live. There were a few reports that came in for freezing rain, but I don't think it really amounted to too much. Just north of town, there were several reports. Here's one that just says slick roads. So no measurements yet down here in North Texas. I'm sure there will be a little bit later as new data comes in. So anyway, so that is a look at the latest. But we did talk about temperatures recovering, so let's put those back on here. So I'll turn the temperatures on, and we'll put the radar back on as well. And you can see we are into the lower 30s across all of Oklahoma. Ignore that number, it's a false one. Panhandle might be a little bit warmer. But as we look down here, we've got 32 degrees right along the Red River. All right. Lawton's about 34, Altus 34, Hobart 34, Elk City 32. So we're gradually starting to warm things up here. Southeast Oklahoma 34, Poto 34. But we're still at 32 degrees. Now, because it's during the day, I hate to say this, but during the day you still have solar radiation that does work its way through the clouds, and so the brightness you see in the sky, that's energy in the atmosphere, and that adds a little bit of heat, not much, but a little bit. But it can somewhat help offset the formation of ice because it'll try to help melt at the same time as it's forming. So it's kind of an offsetting factor. And most of these numbers, when you see 32, what are they? Are they 32 even or are they 32.1? So, or, look at my thermometer up here on my temp. It's 32.9. So they may not be rounding up in some of these numbers. Therefore, if you're anything over 32.0, obviously that's on the melting side, not the freezing side. So that's what I'm saying. We're already starting to melt and thaw out, even though we're right about 32.x degrees. So that's the improvement that we've seen, and that should continue. Now, there's going to be some spots where you might be right at 32.0. So in those cases, usually bridges, overpasses would be your primary concern, but most of those should be treated, at least the big ones that are mainly used. But you can see up here in northeast Oklahoma, temperatures are recovering. We're back up here already 34 on the west side of Tulsa. So that improvement continues up here in the north. We've got 34 in Enid, Alva's 36, etc. So there's your kind of round robin. It's what's kind of currently happening. The rainfall is continuing to move in from the south. So this is our final wave of just a cold rain at this point versus an icy condition. And because dew points are starting to come up. So it's that dew point of 32. And I'm going to put that on the map, by the way. This will eliminate any question as to is it possible to even get any more ice. And we can do that when we just look at the dew point numbers. And these numbers, color schemes are horrid. Let me do this so you can see them. Purple's fine. There we go. There's white. Okay, so there are the dew point numbers that I've got plotted. And you can see they're all at 32.x degrees. So that's why you don't have to worry so much about ice anymore now that we're heading into the afternoon hour. So for lunchtime, once you finish up, if you need to run some errands, you should be in good shape. Just obviously there might be a little bit of a lag on the final melting in your neighborhoods. You'll have to see when you get out in your car. You'll find out if it's already cleared off the streets or not. But the good news is we are now in that melting window, and this additional rainfall is not adding to that ice accumulation. So now it's just a matter of a little bit more time, and then everything continues to improve. Okay, so winds out there. They were a little gusty obviously yesterday and last night, but they're calming down a little bit here to the east and to the northwest. They're still a little breezy. Obviously, you want to drive very slowly. Black ice is difficult to see. Makes roads slippery, especially bridges and overpasses. But we looked this morning. Most of those were treated quite well. If you look up here to the north and east, the winter weather advisory continues. Ice storm warnings continue also in this little area here in purple for both Arkansas and Missouri for at least a couple more hours. The system itself has a lot of moisture with it. We're stuck in a wet pattern. And this is the final of our round here for today. You can see the heavier stuff in the satellite viewpoint is eastern half of Texas. So that'll be stretching up to Arkansas, Missouri as we go throughout the day. Here in western Oklahoma, we're on the light side of the cloud pattern, which means we won't have that much heavy rain compared to the east. Let's take a look at the lift. Again, the bright colors indicate the lift in the atmosphere. So there's a ton of lift. So you can see all that coming up here, where it gets really changing colors over to eastern Oklahoma, and there's Missouri, and Arkansas, Louisiana, eastern Texas. All right, so that's for the remainder of today. So that's where heavy rain moves through, maybe a rumble of thunder. And then as you head into Tuesday morning, more lift down here in North Texas. This will all be rain by this point, by the way. We're done with the ice. Tuesday midday, you can see how it moves into Oklahoma and Arkansas. There's a next big round that'll move through here for Tuesday afternoon across Oklahoma, Tuesday night. Now, there will be a little bit of ice up here with this lift Tuesday night. So there is just enough cold air left over for that. And coming over at nighttime, and I'll show you the ice output here in a minute. As we head into Wednesday, another round of lift comes through, which means more rainfall. And that'll be moving through Wednesday. So you can see it's pretty much going to rain just about almost every day here this week. And that's only taking it through the Wednesday time frame. We still have a couple more after that. All right, so let's see. Temperatures that we talked about for this afternoon. There's 1, 2, 3 o'clock. And you see everybody's kind of getting above freezing. As the day goes on, temperatures recover into the mid, in some cases, upper 30s. And as we get back into tonight, you can see how temperatures do get below freezing in the Panhandle and in the western parts of Kansas. And let's go on into the next period. So that means, by the way, statewide, any moisture in the road will not refreeze. Let's make that clear. Then on Tuesday afternoon, we're rebounding here. Let's see, where are we at? Upper 30s. It's best all we can do you for, so maybe 40 degrees. Tuesday, otherwise still cold in the Panhandle area where that blue color is showing you. And then Wednesday morning, a little batch of blue, which means some temperatures near at below freezing out across, again, the Panhandle region of far western Oklahoma for Wednesday morning. Otherwise, we're kind of on a cool pattern, but at least it's not a frozen pattern. As we mentioned, the winds haven't been as bad today. Most of them have now pushed off into Arkansas and Missouri, so wind gusts over 30 miles per hour there. And so that's where the strongest winds will be for the remainder of the next 24 hours. And then we're kind of quiet for a while when it comes to the wind. Then they'll pick back up a little bit. There's Tuesday evening, wind gusts up around 20. Otherwise, not that bad. So that's good. Get a break from the wind machine in Oklahoma. So here's how that looks when you factor in the radar reflectivity from the model data. So here's our current position at midday Monday. And it doesn't even pick up the stuff out here very well. I mean, even our short-term models sometimes have a difficult time seeing that there's actually rain out there. But regardless, this will progress through the state today. And there's Arkansas, Missouri. You can start to see that icing starting to come to an end for this afternoon, even in far eastern Missouri. Just a cold rain after that. Now, focus here. Obviously, there's another round of rain as we head into Tuesday afternoon, like I talked about earlier. And if you look on the western side of that, up around the panhandle, see that pink in Kansas for Tuesday night, Wednesday morning? That's the model showing you cold enough for a little bit of icy conditions that will occur in that area. So if you are traveling through the panhandle region and in the western Kansas, you are going to experience more ice Tuesday night, Wednesday morning. So here is a look again for today. The rain moves through. By the afternoon, or I should say through the evening, so it's light to moderate rain through the afternoon here. And then by the evening hours, there's 9, 10 o'clock. It's starting to push out of Oklahoma, and then we're done for a little bit. Then the next wave comes in as we head into Tuesday in the morning hours down south, and then off and on throughout the day to the north. And then there's that little touch of ice into the Panhandle region for Tuesday evening, and then Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. The model's even painting it a little bit of blue color. Now remember, sometimes these have a tough time just figuring out which is ice, rain, wind, or snow. In reality, it says blue, but the forecast sounding calls for freezing rain and drizzle, but it's barely. It's got it right at 32 degrees, so it's right on the edge of what is possible. All right, so what that translates into is some moisture, right? So let's measure how much rainfall we're going to get. So for the rest of today, a lot of rain here in southeast Oklahoma, so let's go ahead and just zip to the end. And that new wave for Tuesday will increase more rain out here in the west, about a half an inch at times, and this is just through that first wave. Remember, we still got more waves after that, but some really heavy rainfall accumulations down there in southeast Oklahoma. So this is where the next ice accumulation will occur. It is a very light glazing, where you see the green here on the map, and that's again for the next time frame of Tuesday night into Wednesday. Here's a look at how that looks. So it could be as much of a quarter or 2/10 of an inch of ice here in parts of western Kansas on a little strip here. Otherwise, just enough to kind of coat the bridges and overpass elsewhere over the state, and that it does extend down southward there in the Oklahoma Panhandle. And we'll show it to you here as well. You can ignore this. This is the ice output for this morning. That's left of it. That's going away. But here's that little light coating of a little bit of light freezing precipitation. Again, out here for far western Oklahoma and the Panhandle for Tuesday night, Wednesday morning. All right, temperatures today, obviously we're going to be stuck into the 30s, but at least we're getting above freezing. Cold tonight, but not at freezing or below. And then we're at 42 on Tuesday, although we just looked at the model data and kept us in the upper 30s. So it's still going to be cool or cold regardless. And things get a little bit better, but because of the clouds and the rainfall around here, it's still going to stay a little bit on the chilly side. So that's not really going to change much until we're out of this wet pattern. And I did not look around long term to see beyond that. Obviously, as you guys can tell, I'm tired. I've been dealing with all the short term stuff. But anyway, so that's what I got here for you for your Lunchtime Live. I think I answered all the questions. I'm going to skip through some of your comments. Blanchard's getting a little bit of drizzle action. So yeah, we're going to get some off and on drizzle plus some light rain for the rest of tonight, or rest of today, as you saw. But at least our temperatures are climbing a little bit. But you do notice, everything runs together, but if you can somewhat remember, the forecast and the extent it kept warming things up way too fast, starting with yesterday, and even today, I think it already had us in the 40s. And I was like, there's no way. Well, there you go. So now all of a sudden, you get to the event, and we're still stuck in the mid-30s. It's just when you're dealing with old Arctic air and anything else that can come in, clouds or rain, that kind of messes the whole forecast up, and this models just overestimate the warming. So yeah, James, I'll have to look long term later on. I was supposed to do a blog on Sundays, but I was a little busy. I'll try to do a blog today, and I usually do a blog just to cover you for the whole week. So my idea is to give you the full 7 days and tell you the big picture items, the big story. That way you know what to expect. And then you can watch the individual forecasts for the little details that come out of that. And or use my weather app. They'll get your daily forecast, where it's just sunny, cloudy, whatever, with your temperatures. And then I'll let you know about the big ticket items. So that's kind of been my motto because it helps reduce the workload on me. Plus, I want to be good enough to where I'm accurate 7 days out so that I don't have to change the forecast. To me, that's irritating if I have to change it. So I work really hard not to. So that's why I just do it once a week. And usually that blog will be good. It's very rare that something changed in the weather that made the blog inaccurate later in the forecast period. It does happen, but it's rare, and that's usually just during very chaotic patterns. And when that happens, I'll state it in the blog that some parts are a little more uncertain just because of the weather pattern we're in. But let's see. Let's go over here to YouTube. Okay, so hopefully, by the way, everybody was safe. Thanks for posting your pictures on the thread. There's a Facebook thread. You can post your pictures and how much ice you got if you did. And so thanks for posting those. Some of those are really impressive. But pretty much everybody woke up with a sheet of ice out there. And then your miles will vary as to how thick that was. But we spent the first 3 or 4 minutes of this broadcast just showing you ice totals all across the region. Shreveport's calling for a lot of rain. 5, 6, 7 inches. Yeah, the pattern that we're in, I believe it. I want to build a boat over there. Put it on the river, go gambling. Let's see. Yeah, the side roads are bad. Parking lots are bad. The main roads and highways are treated. Oh, that was the one thing I didn't show you. We did that, last night, kind of show you what that looks like. But you'll kind of get an idea. So hopefully you use this to your advantage, but on my weather app or my website, aarontuttle.weather.com, you can pick up all these traffic cameras. And you can see how well traffic is moving. You can see how it's kind of cloudy, foggy, drizzly, wet, but then you can see how traffic is moving quite speedily. These guys can be really thankful that those crews work really hard overnight to get these roads in this kind of shape. Because, man, in the old days, you wouldn't be able to do this at all. It's brave to do it, but we are at the lunchtime hour where we did give you the green light to start doing this, but it's just always unsettling, when you're dealing with a black eye situation. But at least, we're getting better there. But anyway, so you can take that look here, Oklahoma City. You can expand it elsewhere across the state. You see roads are now turning green, instead of orange or red like they were last night. Even up here in Tulsa, things obviously have improved. There's still some spots here where it's a little slow. I see some orange, but otherwise looks like your guys' traffic is doing pretty good too. And moving along at a pretty good clip as crews kept those roads decent. And we're talking about, of course, the bridges, overpasses, and the main highways, etc. Your side streets and your neighborhood streets will always be the last to improve. And, of course, the first to go a lot of times too. Just kind of depends on your ground temperatures and all that. But elsewhere over the state, I don't see any, bright red on the main interstates, so that's good. But like I said, things are improving here every single minute as we speak, and we are now past our lunchtime hour. So that means that for the rest of this afternoon, you should be able to get your chores done. It's just going to be cold, so dress appropriately. And the roads are still wet, so typical. Watch out for kamikazes on the roadways where they go a little crazy. Drive a little too fast for their britches, and put your seatbelt on. All right, that's it for me. You guys enjoy the rest of your day. This is going to conclude our ice storm event coverage. Like I said, we'll wait to see what's coming up down the horizon for anything on the winter side. I think at least for the short term, we get a break as far as that kind of stuff, and we get wet, which is good. We always need the rain, so we'll see what happens later on. But I appreciate you guys' support, liking the video, sharing the video, telling everybody about AT's weather. Hopefully you've noticed that there is a difference where you get your weather sources. And it's funny, I told Jody, I get the Christian thing of, because trust me, I'm in the same boat, and I get the Christian thing of, you're not supposed to be boastful, you're not supposed to be prideful, you're not supposed to be this, you're not supposed to be that. And 90% of the time I do that. And then I started thinking, and this is where it gets really, this is where human behavior trumps, if we could all live in a godly heaven on earth, which we don't, we live in an evil world with evil people. But so the idea is, if a bear poops in the woods, do you know it? No, not until you step on it. Well, how are you going to step on it? you're going to have to come across it somehow. Either you're going to accidentally walk over it, or somebody's going to tell you, hey, come over here. I think I saw a bear poop in the woods. And you're going to go check it out. All right. So that's kind of the usual method I've been using. I've been using if the bear poops in the woods, I keep my mouth shut, do a really good job, the best forecast I can put out there, and let the chips fall where they may. Okay, fine, great. There's another train of thought, and that is, if a tree falls in the woods, does it make a sound? Does anybody hear it? Well, if this tree is fallen and there is no method to notice that a tree is falling, you don't hear it, and you can't see it because the tree hasn't announced it, then you're never going to know. So if you take that analogy and you put it into something that you build, you create, you spend your hard blood, sweat, and tears, all your sacrifices, and you keep quiet and just hope that if I do a good job, everybody's going to notice it. No, you're a tree that makes no sound. So that's the other side of the coin, and people will take that because Christians love to take stuff to an extreme. I'm a Christian, but I don't like to take it to extreme because I got a better balance. But they take it to extreme, and they then try to read your heart and your mind, and of course, do the judgmental thing that all Christians do they're not supposed to do because they're humans and they're flawed. So yeah, so that's the issue is you have to say something because otherwise everything you build, you put your hard work into, no one's going to know about it. So you have to differentiate yourself. You have to separate the wheat from the chaff. You have to say, look, this is what I did. This is what I do. This is how good it is. This is the product. You should probably buy it or pay attention or use it. But if you don't do any of that, what do you expect is going to happen? Nothing. So everybody that does this can do this all they want. It doesn't change reality. So I live in reality. So I have to balance both. And the bottom line is always is what's in your heart anyway. Nobody's going to be able to read anybody's minds, and you're certainly not going to be able to read what's in their heart. All you can do is like watch them, listen to them over time, and see how they think, feel, believe. And if many of you have watched me, you know that every now and again I'll go a little off the weather, and I'll tell you a little bit about me and how I think and how I view things, and you're going to put two and two together. All right, I know he's legit, and then others that have no clue, and they listen to this person gossip over here and this trash blog over here. They're going to say stupid things, and they're going to make up in their mind that they know this guy, even though they don't know nothing. Now that human is shallow, that human is dumb, that human doesn't use their brain. I can't help that human, right? But I can help those that actually want to be here, want to listen, want to receive the good book, the good word, if you put it in a Christian sense. And those you reach, those you help, those you save. The other ones, can't do anything for them. You gave them the opportunity, they'd rather believe evil and listen to nonsense. I can't help that. So they have to come around to the light. So you can kind of mix and mesh that two viewpoints into one to kind of work it in the real world and where we all live and breathe. So that was some of the thoughts I had last night and today when all that drama was going on, and how frustrating it is when you build something and it's not really recognized, right? Because then you start to wonder, why am I doing this? If everybody thinks we're all the same and we all suck at our job, who's causing us to have that bad stereotype? Oh, it's the sucky people in our field that's causing it. Well, why don't we remove those sucky people? Oh, no, you can't do that. You can't hold people accountable. You can't call it a spade a spade. You can't differentiate education levels and say, well, this guy's not really qualified, but he's giving you information that's really bad. You can't do that either, because then you defend that person, which makes no sense in my mind whatsoever. So that's why you got to throw your hands up and say, you know what, whatever. I can't save you all. So that's where I'm at. And with that, I'm wrapping up this coverage of the ice storm that did happen, was an ice storm, deal with it, and we're going to move on to the next. I'm just thankful that it wasn't a catastrophic one where a ton of us lost power and a ton of us had any issues, and hopefully nobody got hurt on the roadways. Hopefully everybody stayed home and the message was received so that there wasn't any loss of life or injuries. That's the only thing I can hope for. Till the next one, you guys be good. Have a great afternoon. We'll talk again soon. Take care.